We are the real Americans, the original people of this land, and this is the story of how we perished on the hands of Europeans and how they took our lands.
The story of the United States of America, never told before, from our perspective.
They came with flames in their eyes, with ships that cut the horizon like blades. In their hearts, no mercy. In their minds, no thought of peace.
They came with a hunger that devoured the sun, and a thirst that no river could quench. They stepped onto our shores, as if the earth itself was theirs by birthright.
They spoke in tongues we did not know, but their hands spoke clearly, hands that took without asking, hands that took what they did not plant, hands that killed without hesitation. They came with immoral thoughts, to seize the land, to break the spirit, to annihilate everyone they set their eyes on. And they did. Over 3 generations they drove us to extinction, not just the body, but the name, the language, the song.
They poisoned our streams with their greed, and got rid of everyone in their way.
Each season, whites moved the lines of our world back, until there was nowhere left to go.
I am Nematanu, Powhatan's warrior. The English came in wooden beasts, bringing disease and famine's feast. They settled Jamestown on stolen ground, claimed our villages without a sound. Starved and beaten, we tried to live, but they took more than they would give. They slaughtered 60 in one breath, a cruel shadow whispering death. Our land seized, our freedom torn, a people's heart forever mourned.
I was not a princess in your painted story. I was a daughter of the river, child of Powhatan's people. Born under the whisper of cedar leaves, my feet in the earth that knew me by name. Amonute, but you know me as by a different name. I was taken from my river, my hair cut by strange hands, my tongue taught to betray itself, fed me prayers I did not know, and married me into a cage of foreign words. I was not a princess in your painted story. I was a daughter of the river, child of Powhatan's people. They call me converted. I call myself stolen. I am not the girl you painted. I am Pocahontas, and my truth is not your story.
I am Opechancanough, warrior bold, who fought the whites as our lands they stole. 3 wars long, with blood we bled, defending earth our fathers tread. Thousands died beneath invaders' guns, yet still our fight was never done. My name is Sasakas, Pequot chief. Faced fire and fury. 700 lost in smoke and flame, their name erased, but not their claim. The English marched with bloodied hands to claim our lives, our sacred lands. They rang their bells and fired their guns, declaring freedom from the crown of England. Their freedom was our desolation. They tore down one empire only to build another, with our lands as its foundation stones, with our blood as its mortar. No freedom came for the Indian, only wrath and pain and the long shadow of extinction. They burned our villages, broke our treaties before the ink was dry. Their revolution was not for all, only for themselves. I am Little Turtle, fighting invaders fueled by lust. For 10 long years, we pushed them back. They believed their muskets and steel made them untouchable. But on that day, they belonged to us. Battle roared like thunder. We moved swift as lightning. Arrows flew, muskets cracked, the air filled with the screams of men who thought no Indian could bring them down. They would try to hide this victory, call it a massacre, erase it from their books. But our stories are stronger than their lies. Tecumseh, the Shawnee chief, I roar, against the settlers who came to war. They burned our villages, poisoned our streams, but never shattered our dreams. I am Crazy Horse. We met the whites, our heads unbowed. At Little Bighorn, we struck a blow. 300 soldiers laid low. But victory's taste was bittersweet, for years of war would not defeat. I am Red Cloud, Lakota's might, Fought for treaty, fought for right. We forced the whites to change their game. For 2 long years we held the land, a rare victory by our hand.
Ghost dance danced, hope aflame, but soldiers came with death to claim. 200 souls, young and old, cut down in winter's deadly cold.
Wounded knee, a silence loud, a people's sorrow wrapped in shroud.
They gave us poison blankets, cold gifts in the dead of winter, stitched with the breath of sickness. Smallpox carried like a whisper of death. They spread the pandemic of their hate, not only in our bodies, but in the soil they stole. They removed us from our lands, as if our roots could be pulled from the earth without tearing the heart of the world.
This was their biological warfare, crafted not in the name of battle,
but in the quiet cruelty of conquest. An inhumane war waged against my people.
Mothers went first, their arms empty where an offspring once slept. Their roots followed, their laughter silenced before it could grow. The old died last, carrying the stories no one would hear again.
They took us on the longest journey, across rivers that froze beneath our feet, through hills that tore our breath away, across lands that had once known our names. Each step was a mile of grief, each mile a grave dug in silence. And still they pushed us forward, believing that if our bodies fell, our spirit would remain behind, broken, forgotten, erased. But the spirit of the Indian does not die on the trail. It walks beside us still. You can hear the footsteps of those who never came home.
They said it was God's will, a holy calling, and they claimed to spread west. But the only thing they spread was their wickedness, their hate, their chains. In the name of destiny, they bound men and women in shackles, slaves to build the wealth of others. While we, the first people, stood in their way, the obstacle to their selfish glory. They murdered our leaders and called it progress. But I call it what it was. Tyranny dressed in the language of freedom. They boast they built this country on the backs of slaves, but the truth is darker. They built it on the corpses of the Indian, on the broken bones buried beneath every city, beneath every rail, beneath every road they claim as their own. My heroes drew the bow, pulled the trigger, and sent cowboys to the dust, for the cowboy was not a hero to us. Today they dress their ancestors in gentle words, calling them settlers and pioneers. But the truth wears a different face. They do not dare teach this to their children. They do not dare print it in their history book. They prefer to tell a softer lie, that it was God's will, that they were his chosen people. But the only God they truly worshipped was the green paper they could fold in their pockets.
They say they took from the Indian because there were no laws. But what are laws if not moral code?
Biblical passages, the 10 Commandments they claim to believe, they broke every one.
They stole. They murdered. They coveted. They bore false witness against us. They dishonored their own God while pretending to act in his name.